Chapter 4. We're going to start Chapter 4 with proportions in unit rates. These aren't too bad. Now we will have to do some conversions. That's where it might get a little tricky for you. But proportions in unit rates. So let's go ahead and define a proportion. A proportion is two equal ratios. And a ratio is simply a comparison of two things. Now they're fairly simple to solve. Let's first do a proportion. Let's say I have 2/5 equals x over 9. Now, we could solve this the way that we do equations, which is where we clear the fraction, so we multiply both sides by 45. We could do that. But we are actually, when it's something simple like this, we're going to use a faster method. And it only works if we have just two equal fractions. You see how I don't have any extra stuff over here? No extra stuff over here. If it's just two simple fractions, we're going to cross multiply. Now, sometimes students get confused of when we're allowed to cross multiply. If I only have two fractions and I have an equal sign. If I'm multiplying, let's say I had 2/5 times 5/8. I do not cross multiply that. Do you see this sign? It's a multiplication symbol. I just multiply across, top and bottom. Here I have an equal sign. So yeah, we would not cross multiply that. Do you see the difference? Alright, so we're going to cross multiply. That's 18. See where I put that 18? And that's 5x. So I'm going to say 18 equals 5x. I could write it the other way. 5x equals 18. It doesn't matter. Okay, and then I divide by 5. And x equals whatever 18 divided by 5 is. It's going to come out as a decimal, so I'm just going to leave it like that, and that's going to be an acceptable answer. Here's why it works. So what I'm saying, and let's do a simpler one. Let's say I have 5 over 12 equals x over 36. So we cross multiply. Trey, copy your notes. And we get 12x equals 180. Divide by 12. And what do we get? X is 15. Okay, so one way to write a proportion is to cross the equal sign. We could also write it like this. 5 is to 12 as, sometimes they do 4 dots right here instead of an equal sign. I'll just do an equal sign. As x is to 36. And now that we've already solved for x, we can put in 5 is to 12 as 15 is to 36. Notice how 12 times 3 is 36 and 5 times 3 is 15. Do you see that? Do you see that? Yeah? Do we all see that? Okay. So we don't always have to cross multiply. But here's why this is working. These inner numbers right here and these outer numbers have a relationship. Okay? The inner ones are called the means. The outer ones are called the extremes. And the saying goes, the product of the means equals the product of the extremes. Product of the means I know that's kind of sloppy right there. Product of the means equals the product of the extremes. So we can just cross multiply if we set that up right. All right, let me give you 3 to do in your notes. Do these in your notes. Either one's fine, as long as the decimal's not very long. Okay, I'm going to put the answers up, check them on your own, and then if there's a question, I'll go over it. Any questions on those? Going once?
Did you do it the fraction?
I cross multiply. Oh, this would be 15 halves. This would be 30 over 4, which reduces to 15 halves. And that one's 63. All right. Any questions on proportion? All right, now a special kind of proportion that we have is a unit rate. And this is where we do a comparison to 1. So some examples of this would be words per minute. Or we might have price per ounce. Maybe we want to do miles per hour. Or feet per second. So here's an example problem, and I do want you to write this word problem into your notes. Okay, so I'll read the word problem to you. It says, David typed 80 words in 5 minutes. How many words can he type in 12 minutes? There are 2 ways to do this. Let's do it with a proportion first. So this is the proportion way. So what we're going to say, we're going to assume that he types at the same rate. He doesn't get slower or faster over time. So he does 80 words. And sometimes it's helpful to write the labels so that we stay consistent in 5 minutes. And we're going to say, well, how many words, because we don't know, what do you do in 12 minutes? And then you can see with this setup, what should we do?
We should
Cross multiply. So we get 5x equals what's 80 times 12 from your calculator?
960.
960? And then we divide by 5, and what do we get? 192. So we do 192 words. Now that's one way to do it. Any questions on how to do it with a proportion? We might want to know his unit rate. So doing the unit rate, what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out first, I'm going to find out how many he does in 1 minute. So I do 80 divided by 5 to figure out his unit rate. I'd say, okay, well, how many words could he do in 1 minute? So I just divide them. And what's 80 divided by 5? So he can do 16 words per minute. Okay? And then I say, all right, well, if he can do 16 words per minute, then I'll multiply times the 12 and get how many words he does. So what's 16 times 12? Should be 192 words. So I can do that two ways. Now sometimes you're asked for the unit rate. In that case, you're going to want to do the unit rate. So any questions? We took the 80 words and divided by 5 to figure out how many words per minute he can do. And then we multiply by 12 to go ahead and find out how many words he actually did.
His words per minute is better than mine from the first day.
Huh?
I got 13 words per minute.
Oh, he's slightly faster, huh?
Yeah, just a smidge.
Just a smidge. Okay. Let's do another example. Actually, let's do a few. You're going to find the unit rate. Alright, so find the unit rate for each one of these.
I love my calculator, Caitlin's.
Whose?
Caitlin's.
Kaylin's.
Teach one.
Caitlin's.
Yeah. Wednesday.
Oh.
Okay, I'm already confused.
You're already confused.
I don't know why.
It's a unit rate. So what do we do? Meredith, what do we do? 20 divided 6. We just divide them.
Okay, see, now I'm confused.
Alright, and that gives us your unit rate. So what is 20 divided 6?
3.3 would be.
Say again?
3.3 would be.
Okay, so we'll need to round that cent down or up, so it's $3.33 per apple. Boy, those better be really good apples. They must be candy apples.
Pretty expensive for 6.
All right, this one, what do we do? So we do 600 divided by 12, and what do we get?
50.
Exactly. So we do 50 feet per second, so feet per second. Wow, that person's fast. I think we'll figure that out in a minute. All right, how about 1280 for 3 gallons? We do 1280 divided by what? 3, and that gives us our price per gallon. So how much is this as gas?
4.26.
Oh,
That's illegal.
Wow.
Oh boy, that's dollars per gallon, right?
Dang, man, he's getting worked out.
All right, and 192 divided by 4, what do we get?
368.
4.75.
192 divided 4?
Oh, I did 19 divided.
48.
My bad.
What is this?
48.
So 48 words per minute. Okay. Okay, let's do another set of these. Find the unit rates. All right, so figure out the unit rate for each one of these. You done, Tracy?
I thought it was my name and like a dash. Z. E.
Oh yeah, Tracy.
Yee.
Yeah, there it is, Tracy.
I thought it was 2 E's. That's what I thought.
Tracy.
Yeah, that's how you put it in my yearbook.
I did?
Yeah.
Wow.
Still remember.
I don't know. All right, we do 60 divided by 2 and get
Alright.
30 people per minute. People per minute. It's like we have a grinder and we're throwing them in there. No, no, that's terrible. That's a terrible thing to do to people. All right, Kevin drove 84 miles in 3 hours. So we do 84 divided by 3 and get...
28.
I do not want to ride with him. He's slow. Miles per hour. All right, Jessica took 6 minutes to type 200 words. Let's see if we wanted to help. Now, what do we do? 6 divided by 200?
No.
Because that would give us minutes per word. That doesn't make sense. Like if I did 6 divided by 200, that would give me minutes per word. I want words per minute. So that'd be 200 divided by 6. So you got to read what's 200 divided by 6.
33.3.
What'd you say?
3.3.
33.3 words per minute. I suppose I might want her help if I'm slower than that, but that seems kind of slow to me.
Wow.
Toilet paper is $9.85 for 4 rolls. So we want price per roll. So we do $9.85 divided by 4.
2.46.
2.46. $2.46 for a roll of paper? That's terrible. All right, anyways.
4 rolls.
Anyways, listen. Now I want you to go back to these answers and find out this extension question. How many people
Thank you for going for that, Kane.
after 8 minutes? And how many miles
Ew. No. No.
How many miles after 8 hours? And how many words after 8 minutes? And finally, how much for 8 rolls? During my free hour? 8,000. Unless I decide to give algebra a pop test right now.
What?
What?
No, I would not do that.
You would so
Lie.
Okay, lies.
I would never kick anybody.
You know it's on YouTube.
No, get it right, Sarah. I would say I'd never kick anyone in the face. And then I'd kick them in the shin and be like, I never said anything about the shin.
Oh,
See, gotta be tricksy.
bro.
You're so clever.
Alright, 240 for the first. Hey, listen, 240 people after 8 minutes. Any questions?
No.
I want them.
Then times 8 on the next one. And what do we get? How many miles after 8 hours?
224.
Oh, my computer's like being a bonobo. I need a new laptop, so much time one. Alright, then what do we do here? Times what?
Eight.
Times 8. What do we get?
How about you?
266.4.
Okay. And the last one. What do we multiply that by?
8.
And what do we get?
19.68. Or you could just do 9.85 plus 2. Times.
Yeah, I could just double that. That's true. Okay, anyways. Going on.
How many minutes we going for?
Harder proportions.
Oh my god.
Alright, suppose I give you x plus 3 over 4 equals x minus 4 over 6. Well, now this is looking a little bit more complicated than before, but it's still a fraction equals a fraction, so I can still do what?
Cross multiply.
I can still cross multiply. So I still cross multiply. Now I know that that was probably covering it up, so I cross multiply and I'll get 6 times what?
X plus 3.
Equals 4 times what?
X minus 4.
So what do I need to make sure I do? I need to distribute into that. So what do I get?
6x plus 18.
Equals?
4x
Minus
negative
16.
Okay. Now what?
Now you
Combine.
Well, I have to draw my wall.
You know what I mean.
I need to get my variable to one side. Notice that was something that tripped some of you up on your test too, is if they're on the same side, you just add them. But when they're opposite sides, you do that. That's why you need to build that wall. Now we subtract 18, and we get negative 34. Now what?
divide by 2x.
We get x is negative 17. Okay? I want you to try these two examples on your own. What? Really? Did you ever or did Kate go back to work on homework? She turn 0? No. Why? Are you concerned for that?
Ew, what's that? What? Yeah.
What's this?
Yo, why does it look accurate though?
That's looking at it.
Little big
No,
head.
my dude be eating a lot, can you? You don't like things.
What's that, football?
What the heck?
You know, I'm pushing this.
I like
think I'm asking for-
What'd you get for X for the first one? 5. Any questions?
No.
Okay. The second one.
Oh, shoot, there's a second one. -21.
-21. Any questions how to get either one of those answers? All right, now we are on the hard part of today's thing. Unit conversions.
I thought that was the hard part.
Unit conversions are even harder than that. All right, so let's say, earlier we were talking about feet per second. So what I'm wondering is if I say, I have someone who's going 16 feet per second. And I want to know, well, how many miles per hour that happens to be. What we're going to do is called factor label. Yeah, I know that. Okay, so what we're going to attempt to do here is let the labels, if we can pay attention, we're going to let the labels do the work for us. So this is feet per second, so now my thing's all freaking out. So this means 16...
That's fine.
Oh boy, someone really doesn't like me. All right, so 16, once again, we'll try 16 feet per means a fraction, so 16 feet in 1 second. So that's my thing, and I want to change that to miles per hour, so I'm going to multiply. I'm always going to multiply. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to crisscross the feet down. You with me? So that feet cancel, and I'm going to change the feet to miles. Now, I also need, before this freaks out even more, oh God, really freaking out. Okay, miles times, I need to change the seconds. Now notice the seconds are on bottom, so the seconds need to crisscross to the top, and I'm going to change the seconds to hours. You with me?
Sure.
Notice, seconds crisscrossed. Feet, notice, crisscrossed. Do you see that? All right, now I've set it up with the labels. Always set it up with the labels first so that you don't get confused. Now I'm going to look at this, and which is smaller, feet or miles? Feet. And I ask myself, well, how many feet are in a mile?
Don't know.
5,000.
A lot.
5,280. So we're going to want to memorize that. There are 5,280 feet in 1 mile. All right, now, I need to fill in the seconds, which are smaller. Seconds are hours. You should say seconds. Now, there are 60 seconds in 1 minute, and there's also 60 minutes in 1 hour. So this is 3,600 seconds in 1 hour. Now I multiply across the top and I multiply across the bottom. So, what's 16 times 1 times 3,600?
Hold on.
Nah.
57,600.
Pure gold.
50,000 what?
57,600.
And then I do bottom times bottom. Then I get this fraction. This fraction will mean to divide. So I do final step, top divide bottom.
10.909091.
So 10 point what? 9?
9.
Okay, so it's 10.9 miles per hour. So is going 16 feet per second fast? Not really. 10 miles per hour. That's like Trey can walk faster than that.
That's the bigger one.
Okay. Let's do one more example problem. Let's see here. Let's say you have 18 words per minute, and I want to know how many words per hour that is. So I do 18 words over 1 minute times. Now I'm switching to words per hour, so I need to change the minutes, right? So the minutes are going to crisscross, and I put the thing that I'm changing to on bottom. See, we always crisscross. And there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. Top times top, what's 18 times 60?
1,000.
Words per hour. Okay, maybe I want to know, maybe I'm pouring something, or I have a faucet or something like
Wait,
that,
so that's it?
and it dumps out. Yeah, that's the answer. Yes, I get it. My thing is going all crazy. It's like demon possessed.
It's because you're one.
All right. Anyway. Oh God. Try once more. All right. Last thing. Listen. All right. Let's say I have a faucet and it goes 5. It pours out 5 quarts per minute.
Yeah.
And I want to change that to gallons per second. Okay, so I'm going to write 5 quarts over 1 minute. I'm always going to multiply. I'm going to change the minutes to what? Seconds. So minutes crisscross, seconds are going to go on bottom, times. I'm going to crisscross the quarts, so the quarts are now on bottom. And I'm changing to gallons, so the gallons are on top. How many quarts are in a gallon?
6, 8.
4 quarts per gallon.
I was gonna get it.
And I have 1 minute, and how many seconds in a minute?
60.
Okay, so 60. Top times top, I get 5. Bottom times bottom, I get 240. So 5 divided by 240 is what?
My bad, son.
0.
0.02.
Zero, 2, 1.
0.021. Okay, so that's 0.021 gallons per second. All right, so let's see if we can answer this question. How long to fill a 2-gallon tank with this faucet? Well, if it takes 21, if I do 0.021, gallons per second, and I need to fill a 2-gallon tank, what am I going to do?
Divide by 2.
Divide 2 by what?
Point.
I got you, gang.
2.
I got you.
And what do we get? Coleman says about 95. So 95 seconds. So how long is that? That's like a minute and 35 seconds. That's not too bad. That's pretty fast. All right.